Everyone, from me, Brent Graham, and welcome to this stage 21 betting preview of the Tour de France. It is, of course, the final stage into the Champs-Elysees, and it brings to an end a marathon 3 weeks. I'm always pretty exhausted by the end of the Tour, both from watching and betting. Could do with a break. It's not going to be a long one because the Olympic Games is coming up, but of course those are much shorter races. We'll also have a look at yesterday's action, and just a reminder, this is brought to you by goodforthegame.co.za. If you have enjoyed our coverage of the Tour de France, then please subscribe to our channel and give this video a like. Right, let's have a look at what happened in the time trial. I've got to say, compared to last year's time trial, which was absolute drama, this was a bit of a boring affair. There was a lot of other sport on. I kept an eye on things, but it was the first stage of the Tour de France where I haven't been absolutely riveted. The big disappointment for me was Stefan Kung. I backed him to win the stage at 9-4 with that second place, a guaranteed money back from World Sports Betting. But after a fast start, he faded, and unfortunately in the end finished fourth. How's this? 4 Danish guys in the top 10. Unbelievable from one country. And Wout van Aert, though, he was the favourite at the start of the stage, and he duly delivered with an impressive ride, beating an also impressive Kasper Asgreen by 21 seconds. Jonas Vingegaard showing his potential once again as a Grand Tour man in the future. To think that this guy was actually Primoz Rogic's right-hand man coming into this race. We'll never know what would have happened had Rogic stayed in and been fully fit. We would have obviously been in for a much more entertaining affair as far as the outright markets go. But basically, all the jerseys are wrapped up now, certainly bar accident, although possibly the green jersey mathematically could still go to Michael Matthews. But given that we finish with a sprint today, it is very, very unlikely indeed. Well, let's go on to today's stage then. Stage 21, it's 108 kilometers. We all know that the first 30 to 40 Ks is going to be photographs, sipping of champagne and all the rest. Not much to watch until you get onto the Champs-Elysees, and at that point you're going to get a small break going clear. But make no mistake that Mark Cavendish's Quick Step team are going to keep that break on a very, very short rein indeed, and they've got the engines to do just that. It's going to be an exciting race around there, and we come around the final time, obviously, then for the sprint. So let's have a look at the betting, and I'm going to start off here with World Sports Betting. Who's the favourite here? Well, of course, it's Mark Cavendish. He's looking to break Eddie Merckx's record, and he's 4-7 to do just that. And if you look at the quality of the sprinters up against him, not that they're bad quality, but we don't have the real quick men, a guy like Caleb Ewan who went out early, and it's just hard to see anybody beating Cavendish in a straight-up sprint. Cavendish has the best sprint train, and frankly, he looks the fastest of all of the riders on display. I would say the 4-7 is a fairly solid bet. Now, had I been well up in this Tour de France, those who follow these videos will know that is definitely not the case. I've struggled from a betting perspective in this Tour. Had I been well up, I think I would have thrown a big bet on Cavendish at World Sports Betting at 4-7, which is 0.57 to 1. So you're getting almost a 60% return on your money. And I would have done that because of their money back special for second. You know, this is really where it's this sort of stage where the money back special really comes in, because you've got a big favorite. And you've got to think that unless he has really bad luck in running, he surely will come in the top 2, in which case you'll also get your money back. So if you are considering a big bet on Cavendish, that would probably be the way to go. But yeah, for me, I'm going to be looking elsewhere for a betting interest. I'm taking a bit of an interesting angle on this one. And I'm just going to pop to Sunbet quickly, just make the screen a bit bigger there so you can see the betting a little bit clearer. So they're slightly short on Cavendish at 11-20. Obviously, Philipsen and Wout van Aert are the dangers. Philipsen, he's clearly been the second best sprinter for a while now. His team will also work to make sure that it ends in a sprint finish. Wout van Aert, well, I don't know what yesterday's time trial took out of him, but he's won a mountain stage, he's won a time trial. I wouldn't put it past him winning a sprint stage. He'll have Tennyson leading him out for that. You got Mats Pedersen. Case Bowl, I considered Bowl again for a top 3 at 7-2, but this guy just hasn't shown me anything in this Tour. Then you think to yourself, well, there must be some reason why he's dragged himself over the mountains to get to this final stage, but I don't know. I considered him at top 3, but then I found something else quite interesting, and this is going to be my bet for the stage. Cavendish's lead-out man, Michael Morkov. Here we see him at 33-1 for the stage win. I don't know if you guys can remember, early in the second week, there was a stage where Cav actually equaled Merckx's record. And on that particular stage, Morkov gave such a good lead out that he actually had to, it looked like, hit his brakes slightly and let Cavendish come past him at the line to win. And he still managed to run into the top 3. I think he was actually second on that stage. So here's my bet. It's a bit of a unique angle on this, but with Cavendish being such a short price favorite, I had to use my imagination a bit. I'm going for 1 unit, Morkov, top 3 at 8-1 at Sunbet. And yeah, what I'm hoping, I don't think Quickstep are going to leave anything to charge here. I think they have the full train on the front. And I think Morkov is going to take Cavendish as close to the line as possible. The line, by the way, has moved from previous years. So I think if I understand it correctly, we get a bit of a longer sprint than we would have as you round the sort of final bend. So it's going to be important not to go too early. It is a gradual uphill sprint, and I think Morkov is going to take Cav as close to the line as he possibly can, keeping that speed absolutely high. Cavendish is going to come past him, and I'm taking 8-1 that Morkov manages to hang on to a top 3 finish there. Anyway, that'll give me an interest. I will also look at the match bets, may post something on Good for the Game, but frankly, I'm willing to take this as a relaxing day, probably sipping a cold one as well, as I watch them go on to the Champs-Élysées. Thanks, everyone, for your support over the Tour de France. It's been great fun. It hasn't been profitable for me, but there's no such thing as a bad Tour de France. My only regret on this one is that we didn't get more of a GC battle. Enjoy the stage, and we'll see you either for next year's Tour de France, or perhaps, if inspiration takes me, a few of the Vuelta stages and maybe an Olympic Games preview.